You're not going to want to miss this episode of the AI Show. We talk all about AI integration with DataRobot. My friend Venky, make sure you tune in. Hello, welcome to this episode of the AI Show. We're talking about all about AI integration with DataRobot. My friend Venky, how you doing, Venky?
I'm doing great, Seth.
Fantastic. So tell us who you are and what you do, my friend.
My name is Venky Veeraraghavan. I'm the CPO, Chief Product Officer for DataRobot. I've been here about 2.5 years, and before that, I actually worked with you and the team. I was at Microsoft for about 21 years before that, so doing cool stuff.
I would have never guessed that you worked for 21 years. You have the spryness of an able youth.
That's right. Play one on video, I guess. Yes.
So tell us about DataRobot. Give us an introduction.
So DataRobot, was sort of a pure play AI company. It was founded in 2011, sort of as a sort of introduced sort of AutoML and popularized AutoML. Since then, we've sort of morphed into a sort of full AI lifecycle company. We are built on top of all the hyperscalers, especially with Microsoft. We'll talk about today. So we use the best of the hyperscalers, and then we build on top of that to provide a sort of a surface for for teams that are both sort of high skilled, sort of in terms of coding, as well as sort of no code experience to build AI solutions. And so sort of build them, govern them, and operate them at scale. So that's kind of what we do. And so I'm really excited to sort of share that, sort of how we do that and how customers get value from us.
And when it comes to AI, does DataRobot dabble in like foundational models, generative AI, standard, machine learning kind of stuff? Is it the full gamut?
Yes, in fact, that's one of the cool parts that I just absolutely love about the job that I have, is that we've sort of built a end-to-end sort of engineering platform for both predictive AI and for generative AI. And so the AutoML that we built originally was for predictive AI. So a lot of customers are getting huge amount of value from that. And then in the last year and a half, we've been really sort of pivoting hard towards supporting generative AI. And so we're really excited about sort of all the capabilities we have. That said, we are not building our own foundation models. We sort of depend on the folks like Microsoft and others to sort of build these big large language models, as well as open source. And we give customers a choice for, really how to select the right model that's right for the use case. And so that's really where we add value, because as you know, every day there's a great new model coming out. And the question is, how good is that model for your use case, and how to pick the right one for cost, for efficiency, etc. So we help you sort of select those models.
And that's amazing because I mean, in this era of AI, there's so much choice. And being able to select from the thing that's the best for your business is awesome. So maybe this is a tough question, and maybe I shouldn't ask it, but are there any success stories that you've had? Are you able to share with us?
Of course. We have lots of customer stories. One I want to share is one with a company called Ford Direct. They own a lot of Ford dealerships, and they actually were a customer originally for predictive AI. So they started with us some time ago, and what they were doing was really quite fun. They were looking at all the data sets they had across the board to like figure out how likely is a customer to buy. So they have different ways of interacting with the customer, from the website, phone calls, visits. And so they sort of looking at all the data, and they're trying to build a model that says, how do you sort of attract them to the next stage and sort of moving them over? So we worked with them closely, and they ended up having an 18 times improvement in getting propensity to buy sort of correct, and sort of obviously helping their business along. So that's how they started. But as they sort of invested in the platform, they also found it over sort of just build it your own, do it yourself with so basic notebooks and stuff like that. They found they actually saved $3 million a year in sort of like just the AI platform space. So those are two sort of good value sort of metrics that we sort of found with the customer. And since they have the platform, they actually were able to quickly move into generative AI and actually start using generative AI to start. They're experimenting right now. They're not in production yet, but they're experimenting with different kinds of generative AI solutions. One of them includes sort of like explanations of why these predictions are, what they are. So one of the things that we're very strong in predictive AI is really insights into why we sort of predict something the way we do. And so being able to convert that into plain English so that your marketing person who is at the dealership can really decide what to do next instead of just looking at charts and numbers. They're able to sort of have a textual representation of like, hey, look, this person is likely very interested because they built a configured something on the website. And so being able to sort of describe that explicitly versus like giving just the numbers has been a big boon. So they're sort of really seeing the benefits of predictive plus generative coming together in a single sort of platform.
And that's really cool because I mean, I mean, I've known you for a while. I cut my teeth on standard machine learning models, and it's cool that they found success using standard machine learning models, not just for prediction, but also for understanding. And that's one of the things that people forget about machine learning models is that they kind of summarize stuff in a way that helps you understand stuff.
That's right. Yeah, and I think that's sort of a untold story of generative AI. Actually, is sort of how easy it is to actually sort of really start with sort of a generative AI sort of looking solution, but then you sort of add these predictive AI models to actually enhance it. So just another common example sort of is when you're doing customer exchange, you want to say, hey, look, I use generative AI to I want to give hyper personalized emails, and so then you're like, great, this is a great way to do it. Chat GPT or GPT-4 can do really good mails, but the question is, who should you send this email to? Then suddenly you need to figure out, oh, look, I need to have a predictive model to figure out all the people who are likely to churn, right? And so now you need a predictive model to understand that. Then you say, what should I say in the email? Well, you want to sort of enhance it with sort of the features that deliver sort of that propensity to churn. So you say, oh, look, this person, if you use Netflix, for instance, you say, oh, this person hasn't watched enough movies, or they haven't logged in, or they, and so suddenly you're using those features to actually prompt the generative model to actually build a great email. So this is something we have seen a lot of customers do, and they're really being able to sort of have quantifiable ROI because of an existing business process. So they knew when they sent out mail, what was the click-through rates or what was the conversion. Now with generative AI powered with sort of predictive AI sort of together, they're able to measure these sort of uplifts very, very clearly and be able to say, hey, this is the ROI of my generative AI solution.
Yeah, and it's cool because it's like you're building this pipeline of things that grabs goodness from various and sundry different kinds of models to do exactly the right thing, which is really cool. So tell me a little bit about the partnership you have with Azure.
Yes, we've been sort of partnering. We sort of announced a big partnership in early 23, and since then we've been doing sort of deep integration with Azure. So we are available on Azure Marketplace. We have a single tenant SaaS that is available sort of on Azure. We also have sort of self-managed, basically allowing a customer to install it on their VNet for themselves. So we have both flavors of it. But more so than that, just since we're just running on IaaS, we actually have done a lot of integration with the core services, some of which include ones that I've built with you, Seth.
Yeah.
So sort of we have a good deep integration with Azure Machine Learning, with sort of deploying models to manage endpoints and monitoring them. Azure OpenAI is a star of the show in the product. It's available default out of the box in our SaaS offering, so people can just sort of directly consume Azure OpenAI. We'll show you sort of integrations with Azure Cognitive Search, as well as sort of integration with Teams. So we really sort of moved from just sort of simply using Azure as a sort of computer and an operating system to actually use the higher level functions, the PaaS functions of AI, of data, et cetera. So really sort of gives us a way to sort of let Azure do what it is best at, sort of doing things at planet scale, high reliability, high functionality. But then we provide the ease of use layer and the orchestration across all of these services. So for a medium maturity customers, they don't have to sort of string together everything by themselves with code. They can actually just run a single platform that sort of holds it all together.
And that's really cool, right? Because Azure I mean, in the era of the cloud, it all started with, hey, I'm renting a box. And now we've moved way beyond that into I'm renting a series of services that I can stitch together to do amazing things.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have something to show us?
Yes. In fact, we have a demo. We have a couple of demos, actually. So let's start with the first one. The first one really tells you an end user scenario of running a bot. Now, obviously, you can use ChatGPT directly to build a bot. But so the question is like, what do you do to a robot? It's a good question. So thanks for asking that, Seth. So what we do is really allow you to actually sort of first select which is the right model. It could be Azure OpenAI 3.5, 3.0, 4.0. It could be Phi in the future. So there's all kinds of different models that you have. So first we help you out choose which model is correct. And then we also allow you to sort of evaluate and measure to make sure that this is the right model that you want, how it behaves. And we'll talk a little bit about our new launch, where we actually have a whole bunch of cool functions around mitigation and intervention. But the idea here is that we provide the management layer, so you're actually able to sort of keep track of your prompts, version your prompts, being able to deploy them together, being able to deploy guard models together, and sort of run your own custom metrics to evaluate the functionality of the bot, and then also then integrate that with a end user surface, in this case Teams. So what we're going to show here is a RFP bot that allows you to work with your RFPs and ask questions of RFPs, requests for proposals. Basically, there are sales documents that customers ask for. You fill out, and so you want to ask for that. And it's integrated where customers really are using we're doing their work. So they're doing their work in Teams. So we ask them to sort of do that. So with that, let's roll the tape, and we'll sort of show you that demo.
Let's do it. Here we go.
Today, we'd like to show a demo of DataRobot's RFP bot seamlessly integrated into Teams. This bot is powered by a RAG model built in just a few steps in DataRobot, and building models just like this one using our workbench is as easy as connecting to data, building a vector database, testing the model, and then registering that model. And this can all be done in 30 minutes or less. We'll show you that shortly, but first let's click in and see what it can do. Now, it should be noted, with DataRobot you can build all kinds of custom GenAI applications, or integrate them into web applications, or build enterprise-grade chat integrations like we see here with Teams. You can also build custom models like ones that create product descriptions or customer service bots. With this RFP bot, users can ask a wide range of questions and, referencing the documents we have in the vector database, return a clear, natural language answer. But that's not all. DataRobot has something called generative AI guard models that give users an indication of what it believes the accuracy of an answer is. You can also build custom metrics like you see here with readability and response time. The response will also come with the references it used within the vector database, so users can go in and read more if they want, or verify the answers against the sources themselves. Next, let's show you how it's made.
All right.
So that's really cool. Now, so setting the frame, does this mean that it only works in Teams, or is this like a chat experience that you can put anywhere?
So basically what we have is a API that is sort of that is running on DataRobot or Azure ML, depending on how you want to deploy it, and then you sort of build your application. So here we have sort of had a quick integration with Teams that we provide as an AI accelerator for customers, so they can sort of take the endpoints that we deploy and then sort of quickly integrate into Teams. So that's what here. But obviously, you can also build it inside an application. We have a big partnership with SAP where we're working on sort of building our applications directly into an enterprise application like SAP, and people have done that with custom apps as well. So any number of options are available to you.
All right, so let's see how it's built. I know we promised a second part, so I'm going to roll that. Okay.
All right, awesome.
Let's do it.
Okay, now let's go into DataRobot and show how easy it is to build a model just like the one we just saw. Right when you get into DataRobot, you'll notice there's three main hubs. First, there's Workbench, where you'll build your models. Registry, where you'll govern, register, audit, approve your models. And Console, your observation hub, your 360-degree command and control center, where you'll deploy, monitor, and optimize your models. So we're building an RFP bot, so we'll go into Workbench and select our RFP bot use case. And building models in DataRobot is as easy as connecting your data, and that's either by uploading or connecting to your data sources. Then you want to build a vector database using the data source you uploaded, using an embedding model, and DataRobot will automatically recommend one, but there's others to choose from as well. You'll also select your chunking strategy. So you already have this created, so we'll jump over to LLM Playground. And really, this is the most important part of Workbench, because this enables you to test and compare different LLM blueprints against each other. And by LLM blueprint, we mean essentially the foundation model and the vector database combined to create a RAG model and create outputs. So if we want to compare, all we have to do is go to the Compare tab, select them, and enter in a query. Here I have, does DataRobot API support time series? And we got some different answers. And that's because not only do you connect a vector database to a foundation model, but you can have different strategies that you enter. For For example, here I have a system prompt that will apply every time I query. Explain this as simply as possible. And another one, format output for marketing materials. So when we come back, we have one that is a pretty standard answer, one that simplified one is a very short answer, and the marketing material one has pulled in some of our language from our website and other things that are available online and added it to what it was able to find within the vector database to give a more appropriate response for something like you would put online or put in marketing emails. And so once we have compared them and we select one that we really like, all you have to do is click Register LLM Blueprint, go to Registry, package everything together, and then you can deploy your model. And that's how you create an RFP bot model in DataRobot.
That's pretty cool. So basically you upload your data and you try various prompts and then you pick the one that you want. Did I get this right?
Yeah, so maybe mostly, but maybe just a little bit more detail. So you can try different prompts. You can also try different chunking strategies. You can try different embeddings. And so basically all parts of the RAG pipeline, you can sort of do that. So in the, as we sort of give you that, and you did all that with no code. Now you can also do that with APIs, but and that's, you're going to, I'm sure, show in the second part. But there's a lot of work that you can do, just simply build this out. And so we've had, subject matter experts really build themselves a chatbot that they know is safe and they can use it sort of inside the company. And so that is sort of a huge part of it. The second thing is we allow you to actually deploy all of those models together. So, as you know, like for someone who is not a day-to-day developer, sort of taking not just the LLM and the auth for it and the API keys and all that stuff, plus deploying 5 other models that are monitoring both the prompts and the responses, scoring them, and then having a notification. All that stuff is built into our, we harness all of that together. And so think of us as sort of the engineering system that runs on top of the sort of the core AI assets, which is the vector database as well as the model, but sort of holding it all together.
That's really cool, and it's fun. It's fun to know that you can build these things in like a half hour.
That's right.
I think is what you said. Are you finding customers having success with this?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like, we've had, I think, the most number of what we call proof of values sort of in our history of the company with sort of, as we've sort of rolled out Gen AI. We've had, dozens and dozens of sales that are now really led by Gen AI. So I think like, we are, rapidly pivoting from sort of an AutoML company to a full AI lifecycle company. And generative AI is really sort of driving that change because everyone's interested in it, but they're finding it sort of really easy to sort of get into it and then iterate quickly. So what we tell customers is, hey, look, you don't have to be correct the first time, but just find a way to like iterate as fast as you can. So you're learning. And then as you learn, then you can sort of, harden your solution more and more.
That's awesome. So are there any new things? Because this is the time in tech where there's a lot of new-ish things. Any new things you want to tell us about that you're doing?
Sure. It just so happened, since we scheduled it, this show, we've had a launch just last week. And so we launch pretty much every 4 to 5 months. And so, we had the fall launch in November, which is when we introduced all the Gen AI UI. Our launch this time has been sort of really focused on the learnings we've had with customers. So some of the big things people want is, be able to host LLMs inside DataRobot because they want to they don't want to mess around at all with sort of, getting keys and sort of working with IT. So we have a very simple way to sort of do that. So a lot of the sort of key Hugging Face models, Phi3, et cetera, are available for you to do that. We've invested a lot in LLM evaluation. So you saw, the multi-provider LLM playground. So that really was like, just like when you're in a shopping cart, you're sort of comparing the behavior. What you saw in this demo was the qualitative part, like you're looking at the answers. What we're now allowing you to do is to actually put numbers next to them. So you can actually add a whole number of guard models and metrics to measure how your LLM is working. And that really sets the spec for how you want it to behave. So now you say, you have a product manager that says this is what it's supposed to work on. Then you do qualitative analysis. You say this sounds good. Then you put in a bunch of numbers. Now these numbers define the behavior of the LLM or of the RAG pipeline. And now you can then say, great, once I'm doing this, I can deploy this out. I'll get feedback. We also have the ability to sort of get feedback. You saw in the demo little stars and hearts. All of that becomes actuals that come back to the data scientist to actually say, here was the end. Here's the prompt. Here's the response. Here's the human feedback, and here's all the metrics that were generated on that response. So that suddenly now the customer is able to now really say, how well is the thing working, and you can sort of then iterate. So the idea is that you sort of do this full life cycle as quickly as possible. So evaluation is super important. We have a full code space, sort of with a file system and notebook built into DataRobot. We were super well known for AutoML, which is no code, but we've also included now a full coding experience to sort of make sure we sort of cover both types of teams in a single platform. So we have a lot of different I guess maybe on the intervention side, on the governance, one of the big things we want, as I think everyone's seen, is these LLMs, when they spit out something that is not correct, you want to be able to detect it. So what we talked about, all these metrics, is able to detect it, but also now able to real-time intervene and change the answer. So that's now an available feature inside DataRobot. And being able to do that across clouds and across sort of on-prem, because not every customer is completely on the cloud. So being able to sort of make sure that there are some data sets and models are running on-prem, and then some of them are running in the cloud. We sort of allow for sort of a single pane of glass that manages models in both places. So that's sort of the heart of the new stuff. One of the things we did was we actually participated with NVIDIA at GTC to talk about how we're supporting that work. So DataRobot has previously sort of only lightly supported GPUs. With this round, we're sort of fully supporting GPUs across all parts of the stack, whether you're training in notebooks, whether you're inferencing, running LLMs. We have that. We're also sort of first to sort of get the NIMs running internally. So inside DataRobot, you'll see NVIDIA NIMs built into the platform. You can sort of just select them and sort of deploy them and run them directly. And we're working with NVIDIA to sort of increase the list scope of NIMs that they're building out and running. So we're super excited about the partnership, and sort of between working with both Microsoft and NVIDIA, we feel like we have a really, really good platform for customers to really quickly iterate on building Gen AI apps.
And this is all super cool stuff. I mean, it's the part of AI that I like. I love how DataRobot is integrating everything from standard machine learning, which I think is useful both for prediction as well as understanding data, all the way to LLM apps, and then having a pipeline to take care of all of that.
That's right. I think that you sort of nailed it in one sentence. It's great. Thank you.
Awesome. So where can people go to find out more?
All right, so a couple of places. So I think first is a blog post that we have that I wrote. And so that is on the DataRobot website. You can go through the link below. That sort of describes what's in the launch. I'm excited about that. Second is you can request a demo, and there's a link for that as well. You can sort of get a good feel for it. You can request a demo. There's also a free trial on the website, so you can actually try this out yourself immediately. And then finally, if you want to sort of take a look at this, we are available in the Azure Marketplace as well. And so both the single tenant SaaS as well as sort of self-managed is available on the marketplace. So you can get to DataRobot today.
Well, this has been amazing. Thanks so much for being with us, my friend.
Thanks, Seth. Thanks again for the opportunity. Thanks, everyone.
And thank you so much for watching. We're learning all about AI integrations with DataRobot and Azure. They're cool customers, the cool stuff they're doing. Thank you so much for watching. And hopefully we'll see you next time. Take care.
Of course.